Welcome you all. Today, let's see the remaining parts of our Pascal basics programming session. Before I get into the syllabus, get into the lesson, I'd like to cover the things we studied during the previous classes. We know how to analyze a problem and the algorithm, idea of an algorithm. Actually, an algorithm is a method to show the steps solving a problem. And we studied about the multiple solutions and control structures, see like sequence, selection, and iteration or repetition. And these flow charts, we covered the flow charts. We can see these symbols can be used in flow charts, and the definitions. We studied these things in previous sessions. And pseudocodes, text-based format of writing a solution. And you can see this example. This is a flow chart to do some problem solution. This is the pseudocode. This pseudocode can be seen. This is the same thing represented by this flow chart. Furthermore, we studied about these basics of this Pascal programming. Identify naming rules like we must write these identifiers by starting with English characters and can be followed by 0 or more letters. Cannot be the same as keyword. I mean, the if, begin, for case, the keywords used in Pascal language cannot be used and may not contain special characters like punctuations similar to these things cannot be included. Then we know these ideas. Then these are some keywords we can use in Pascal programming, and these things can be used. And these are the data types we studied: integer for storing numeric values, both in minus or plus values can be stored, and real to store floating point values or decimal numbers, and Boolean to store true or false. Char data type can be used to store characters. Character means a single letter from your keyboard. And string means a sequence of characters. Any sequence of characters can be called as a string, just like these ICT programming Sri Lanka. Then we studied about these variables and constants and how to declare variables in a Pascal program. Then some operators for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and they for get the divided amount, the division round numbers, and mod to get the remainder. And few comparison operators: greater than or equal, less than or equal and not equal. Then few logical operators. These are the things we studied during previous sessions. I'm doing a recap. That's what I going a little fast. And operators and O operators, we studied those things. We had some exercises, we did practices, and I hope you can you know how to handle these things. This is an example program. I think it's better to start from this place by covering a basic example of a Pascal program. You can see we must start with the keyword program to define the name of that program. Name of the program, according to this example, the adnum is the name of this program. Then to declare variables, this is a little different than the other programming languages. you must declare these variables at the top. You can see we are using this var keyword, and the variables we are going to create, and a colon, and the data type we are going to create, and a semicolon. This is the structure. Actually, we are creating variables in Pascal. To start writing the solution, actually the body of the code, you must start with the begin keyword, and inside that begin, you can write anything you want, the solution for your problem. This write is used to output something, and the data, the things we are writing inside a curly bracket will be considered as a comment in Pascal. You know that already. And this write ln, let's see what is the difference between this write and write ln later. And now let's see, this read function is used to take input to our input from the user to our program. And this total in this area, we are doing some expression, storing some data to this total variable. The expression is adding this num1, the data inside the num1 variable, and the data inside the num2 variable. Then the added data will be stored inside this total variable. Then let's see, this AVG is also the same, doing some expression and storing the data inside this AVG variable. And again, we are receiving the same thing, write ln. This is not a case sensitive language. Therefore, it's not an issue to write the uppercase letters or lowercase letters. It is not an issue in this case. Therefore, you need to consider these things as well, right? And finally, once you finish writing everything, you need to end your program by calling this end keyword following a full stop. Full stop is important. It is the thing we are indicating, we are saying the computer that our program is completed. Fine. Then in this node, we can see to write comments. We can use open bracket and asterisk mark and some comment line, and close the close this thing like we started. Then let's try to do one program and see what's going on here. Right, I'll remove all these things. It's better for us to understand these codings, right? Program hello, the name of the program is hello. And now I'm going to create some variables. Let's create a variable called num1, and the data type of this variable will be the integer. And after that, let's start to begin. Let's begin the program. Begin, end. Now let's write hello world, like this. And at last you must include one semicolon. Then let's run this program. Now you can see our output is displayed at this point. It's terminal, integrated terminal. Hello world. Now let's see. What if we want to store some data to this num1 variable? It is in integer format. Then let's do something like this. Num1 is equal to 10. To assign values, you must use colon equal. This is a little different than the other programming languages. You must use colon and one equal mark. Then instead of printing this hello world, let's print num1. Now if you run this program, you can see the 10, the number value 10 is printed because we are storing number 10 in this num1 variable and printing the num1. This is a little small example to get the idea on these things. Fine. Now let's do one more thing. We are just assigning this value manually, right? Manually now. Then let's do assign the value for this num1 variable during the execution. It means a user's input. Then read num1. Read num1. It means we ask something. The program asks something from the user. As an example, to get some idea, let's write a help word like this, helping word. Enter some number. Now let's run this program. You can see enter some number. It is requesting something from the user. Then I'll input 34. Right. The input, the data we input is now on the output. Then to get the idea clearly, I'll write something like this. The number you entered is num1. Now this is little informative. 45. We are getting the output as the number you entered is 45. Right. Hope you can get the idea. Now, this is some idea related to working with basic Pascal program. Let's move to the today's session thing. Today we are going to talk about this write and write ln and the selection control structures, if statement and the nested if statements. Before we talking about this if and nested if, let's cover this section at first. Write and write ln. I'll erase all these things. Now I'm going to write hello. And again, I'm writing something called world. According to this code, we can say generally some of you will guess this output will come like this, hello, and under that world. In the next line, world. But it will not print like this. Then let's run and see. You can see the output is something like this, hello world. It means we are writing something, just writing, and again we are writing in the same line. To break one line and print or get some output, you must use this write ln. Then what if we use write ln here? It means once something printed, if you print something, then after it breaks one line, it comes to the next line. Then do anything you say after printing this line. Then once if I run this program, let's see, you can see hello and the world here. Then I'll make a little change like this. Write in this place and write ln this place. Now what will be get? The output will be like this, hello world. What is the reason? The reason, we are leaving one line after printing this world, not hello. That's why we are getting the same thing. If you write anything else here, write something and print. Now it should print in the next line. Fine. I hope you can get this idea. That is the difference between write and write ln. Write just prints the data in one line. Write ln prints the data, output data in one line and break a new line. That is the difference between write and write ln. Now let's move to this selection control structure, if statements, nested if and if statements. What are these things? This is the flow chart. You can see this flow chart indicates the if statement. Is the condition true? If the condition is true, go to this statement, statement 1, and do other things related to this flow. And if the statement is false, no, it means go to this place and do this thing. This is the pseudocode. You can see this pseudocode. If the condition, then do something, else it means the no part, else do something else, and end if. Then before we go to this example, let's write a code, a Pascal code. If 10 is greater than 5, if 10 is greater than 5, then write 10 is greater than 5. Right. And we know that the 10 is always greater than 5. Then as per our code, the output will be look like this. 10 is greater than 5. Then let's do another thing like this. Let's assign something to this num1 variable we already created, and num1 is equal to 10. Now let's replace this 10 with this num1. If num1 is greater than 5, then 10 is greater than 5. The program will run as it is. 10 is greater than 5. Or else you can replace this 10 also like this. Num1 is greater than 5. 10 is greater than 5. Both are receiving the same outputs. Hope you can get the idea. Then this is this if statement. This yes part is working now. Yes part means this area. This area is working now. Now let's see how to go to the no part. To run the no part, you must remove this thing, this semicolon from that place, and write else and write I am in the no section. And finally, you must write this semicolon. Now, once you run this program, you can see you are getting the same output. The reason that 10 is always greater than 5. To make this false, I'll change this to 4. Now it is wrong. It is false now. Then if num1 is greater than 5, num1 is 4, then 4 greater than 5, it becomes false. If it is false, it will never go to this place. It will go to this place. Now let's run this program. the program executes as it is. Fine. Then let's do an example like this. Let's take two numbers as inputs and let's print the largest number. Let's create another variable called num2. If let's write something here. Enter number 1, and after that let's write something. Let's take an input from the user, num1. Please read the num1. Then again, once user enter num1, write, let's make this yes, write enter number 2. Once again, I am reading the num1, not num1, num2. Oh, sorry, num2. And finally, let's check which number is the largest number. If num1 is greater than num2, then if num is greater than num2, num1 is greater than num2, the largest is always num1. Then let's print, right? The largest number is num1. Else, always we know, if the largest number is not num1, it is num2. Num2 is the largest number. Then let's write the largest number is num2. We must end this if statement by writing a semicolon at the end of this else statement. Now let's run this program. It says enter number 1. Let's enter a number 23, and it says again to enter another number. Then I'll enter 43. Now we know the largest number is 43. Then I'll press enter and see what we get the output, what we get as the output. The largest number is 43. The program is working as we expected. Then I'll run this again, and let's make the number 1 the largest number. And I'll give 12 as the number 2. Now it prints, it works correctly. It says the largest number is 34. Hope you can get the idea. What we did here, created two variables called num1 and num2, and the data type of those variables are integer. Write enter num1, writing something, read num1. It means just printing something and saying the user to enter number 1, enter a number. Then once a user enter one number, that number is stored in num1 variable. Then again, we say program says to enter another number, and enters a number. User enters a number, and that number is stored inside the variable num2. If num1 is greater than num2, we are checking one condition at this point. If statement, if num1, the user entered number, is greater than num2, then write the largest number is the num1. If the num1 is greater than num2, we already know the largest number is num1. Then we can write like this. Else, write the largest number is num2. If the largest number is not number 1, the largest number must be num2. You know that. Therefore, we got the idea. I hope you can get the idea. If you can't, if you can't get the idea at once, do some practicals and try to get the idea. Then that's all about these statements. Then what is this nested if statements? To do this nested if statement, let's see this flowchart. In this flowchart, you can see we are starting the program and input some data. I mean a mark. We are input some marks, and that marks is stored in the variable m, and is m is greater than 75. If the marks entered is greater than 75, result, the variable result becomes a. If not, is marks greater than or equal to 65. If it is yes, result becomes b. If it is 50, greater than or equal to 50, it becomes c and s. And finally, if the marks is less than 35, the result becomes f, and finally output the result. Then let's do the coding. What are the variables we need? We need a variable called m to store the marks, and we need a variable called result to store the result, and that's it. That's all. Then m as integer. What else? And the result res in char. Char is okay. The reason, the result in a single character. Char data type is fine at this point. Then let's write some output calling enter your marks like this. If enter the marks, what we need to do, we need to use this read method, right? Read function to get the data from the user, and let's store it in the m variable. It is always an integer. And now we need to check with if statements with the marks coming to these criteria. If m, it means the marks greater than or equal to 75. Then if marks greater than or equal to 75, then the result is equal to what? Result is a. Now, else if m is greater than or equal to 65, then result is equal to b. Else if marks greater than or equal to 55, then the result becomes c. Else if marks is greater than or equal to 45, then the result becomes s. Else at finally the result is equal to failed, OW. It means the student failed. Now let's finally we must output the result. Write ln your result is result. I hope you can get the idea. Now let's run this program. and it says it asks some marks. Now I'll enter 78. Now what we need to get, we need to get the result as A, right? Now yes, it is working correctly. Your result is A. Then let's try 34. Then the result should be W. Then let's run this program again and enter 56. The result is C. The program runs as we expected. Now you can see, let's summarize this code. We are using nested ifs. If this statement is true, then do this thing. Else if check for this statement, then do this thing. Even it is false, then do this thing and check this condition and do if it is true, do this if it is true. If not, go to this else part and else if one more condition, then result becomes yes. And finally, if all these conditions becomes false, finally we are setting the results variable, risk variable as W. It means the student failed the exam. Student is failed the exam. Now I hope you can get the idea. This is called as the nested if. There are multiple if statements. Fine. Now I hope you can get the idea, and let's see what is the remaining thing. Yes. Okay. Now I'll erase all these things. I hope you can get the idea. Erase all these things. If m is equal to 10, if m is greater than 5, then write statement. Write another statement. Right. Now let's see. According to the thing just we studied before, if we have one thing to do, we can write if m is greater than 5, then write some statement. In this case, we have two things to do. If this condition is true, we need to do two more things. Two things. Then what shall we do? This will not work. Then if we try to execute this one, actually, let's see, the output is some statement, another statement. Let's make this right ln, then you can see clearly these things. Right, some statement, another statement. This is not actually working as this if part. Then to understand this one, let's change this to 4. Then this becomes false. Then if it is false, this will not run. Right? Okay, let's see. This another statement part is working. What's happening here? This is similar to writing a code like this. It means if the statement is false, the sum statement thing is not printed, but the remaining thing is printed. If the statement is true, this will print, also this will also print. To avoid that one, it means to print some statement and another statement both in one place, what shall we do? It means if the condition is true, to run these two, if the condition is true, what can we do? We can do one thing like this. Shall we do something like this? No. If we run this program, we are getting an error. Compilation aborted. The reason, this is not the correct syntax we are writing about this if statement. Therefore, we need to wrap this inside begin and end. Begin and like this. Now let's try to run this one, and this is working. Actually, it says if this statement is true, do these things, do the code lines included inside this begin and end. Now if I change this to 4, if this is 4, this becomes what? False. If it is false, this will never run, right? This will never run. Then if I click run, now you can see no any outputs. If I make this 10, this statement becomes true, then this will run. Some statement, other statement. Like this, we can write multiple things inside this if true statement area. Fine, that's all about these statements. I hope you can get the idea. If you can't get the idea, try to view this video once again. I hope you can get the idea. Once you get these things cleared, try to do this past paper questions. This is your past paper questions I got from your past paper book. And you can see this question: consider the following pseudocode segment. This is not related to Pascal, but it is related to pseudocode. Therefore, you can try this question and find out the answers. Let's discuss this in another video, and also do this one. Do this question and get the output and underline the correct thing. And also there is another question. Read these things carefully and fill in these blanks. These all are related to these if statements. Therefore, I hope you can get the idea and do the task which I gave you now. And I think let's meet on another video. Thank you.